The real reason you got sick was unprocessed emotions, things that happened that you were unable to process at the time, that you stuffed in the back of the subconscious, that over time started to pile up and pile up and pile up and cause you emotional stress, physical symptoms, and eventually, as you keep stuffing more and more of these emotions in the back, they eventually have no choice but to manifest in the form of symptoms, right? So what I realized at the very, very end of my physical symptoms, and when I had overcome the illness, is that, guess what? There was still these emotions from the past that I had to deal with. And if I didn't deal with them, then I would keep recreating my symptoms through observation, through, memories, traumatic memories, through, consuming things after being stressed out from thinking about this thing, whatever it was. But the reality was that was what was left at the end. So that was what was there at the beginning. That was the thing that caused me to make these reckless decisions, to eat the wrong foods, to not value my health, were these emotions that I was running from, these unprocessed emotions. So what I mean by unprocessed emotions, what I mean is there are certain events in your life that at the time you just don't have the capability to deal with it, accept it, move past it. You just have no choice but to try to avoid thinking about it because it's too heavy for your body to handle. And when you start to think about it, you start to feel physically sick. So you have no choice but to defensively just try to focus on other things. Well, that's great and all, but once you have enough of those things that you have avoided that were difficult to deal with, they build up and build up and build up, and they form tension inside the body and the muscles. And it makes your body start to be shaky. It makes you feel tense. It makes you feel unwell. It makes you not get good sleep. It makes you start to be triggered easily and have these knee-jerk reactions to other events. So this is what the subconscious can be really just scattered with, is lots of these different thoughts that were unaddressed, lots of these different thoughts and experiences which were unaddressed. And then what happens is you see things in your environment that remind you of these past experiences or thoughts that you did not address. And that causes you to be triggered emotionally, physically. And then guess what? Symptoms are popping up and you're calling it this condition, right? When in fact, often it was just plenty of unaddressed emotions and the inability to cope with emotions. That was really the root cause of the illness. Now, what do you do now that you have physical symptoms? Well, of course, you have to make changes. You got to look at your diet. You got to look at if you're living in a house that has mold. You got to see if you're still thinking these threatening thoughts, these thoughts about fear, etc. But the reality is, the origin of the illness was, before the symptoms, was thoughts that you could not cope with, unprocessed emotions, experiences that you weren't able to come to grips with and accept and turn into something good or flip it around in your mind. This is the origin of your symptoms. So thanks for watching, everybody. This is something I learned after 22 years. I didn't believe it the whole time. You guys probably won't believe it as well, but once you get to the end of it and you realize all that's left is trauma and that's what was there in the first place that led you to the illness, then you'll probably agree too. Go to my website, endsickness.org. I have hundreds of articles and videos on there teaching you how to heal yourself. Take care.